Hello. So, I hear you are one of the inquiring types who wants to know how to get good at War Thunder. Well, I have a couple good tips for getting good. And tip number one is going to be this crew experience. So the first thing you would want to do is, of course, if I can find, upgrade your crew from basic to expert through this little purchase here, right? And then, of course, you would want to allocate crew points in order to improve your crew's performance, which of course I have done here. So that's tip number one. Tip number two: try and fly planes. Here, let me show you. Try and fly planes of similar battle ratings. If you're in arcade, this is important. Flying planes of similar battle ratings means that they will all be relatively capable. Tip number three: try and fly only planes that you already have aced. Now, I understand you can't ace a plane without flying it, but try and mix in, like I have here, one or two unaced planes, like my North American P-51D5 Mustang is not aced in this herd of other ace planes, which means that that will be the plane that is being worked on. Alright, so next tip. Tip number tip number 5. Choose your ammunition. This is important, right? So, something I try and keep in mind is, what do I want to be able to achieve here? So, you can look at the description of a specific type of ammunition. For instance, we have Tracer, AP, and then Incendiary, or 1 AP and then 4 Tracer, or something like that. For American 6.2 millimeters, I prefer Stealth. For American 12.7 millimeters, on normal planes, this does not include the Bearcat, P-47, and P-51. This is all the other planes. You want to use Universal. Alright, so that's ammo choice out of the way. By the way, for let's go over some other calibers. Here, we'll have them here, I think. Okay, so, oh wait, no, they would be here. So we would want Universal for 37s, and planes that are using this special type of tracer, which is a APIT tracer. That would be the most advantageous thing to use. And let me go see if these planes, oh yes, on these planes, the higher end 37mm cannons, you will want to use the default ammunition, because hint hint wink wink, these high explosive fragmentation incendiary tracers, which is quite a mouthful, are quite potent, shall we say. So let's look at the results of the culmination of these 5 tips. Alright, now this isn't anything battle related. This is just choosing your planes and equipping them properly. So we're going to look at a little replay here. And now this is a replay from today, actually. I just recorded it So, tip number 6, which is going to apply to in-battle circumstances, is climb. So, you see all of these enemies below me. Well, when you have an aced plane, you'll be quite capable of climbing, and having altitude is good. Have you ever tried to get up over an enemy, or kill an enemy who is over you, and well, you stalled and they dropped down on top of you and it was quite messy? Well, how to prevent it is climbing to begin with. So then, tip number 7 is going to be selecting your targets. So find something that's trying to find another enemy who's not being chased, and even better is one who is giving chase to a friendly. So that's always helpful. I have gone after this Yak 7B here, and with Swift Veracity, I have mutilated it appears. Oh wait, no, it's still alive, but not for long. I need to... Now, the 7.7 stealth ammunition is quite good. Oh, there we go. Got the kill. So, don't join those lines of people going after the same plane, right? Because your odds of getting the kill are lowered. So always try and keep yourself going after a plane that is unoccupied. No one's going after it, and obviously you would want to be over the plane so you have an energy advantage over them. And you can do what I'm doing here, which is just... Now, this Lag 3 is quite a good plane, and it's giving my P-36 a run for its money, but I've got him here. Wait, no I haven't. So this little engagement here leads quite well into tip number 8. Maintain your energy. And what that means is, when you're dogfighting, you want to keep your plane, keep your plane's energy in a state that is most advantageous. Now, that wasn't very well demonstrated in that particular fight, but there are definitely times when pulling a maneuver, such as once you've gotten too close to an enemy so that you might pass them. If you have a lot of speed, it's often a good idea to pull up sharply and roll back around and come down on them, if they're not dealing with someone else already, if someone else isn't already trying to get the kill. If someone else is trying to get the kill, performing a scissors maneuver or something of that type, which is what I was doing when I was behind that lag, is I was performing a scissors maneuver, trying to stay behind him. So, tip number 9. Tip number 9 is going to be about knowing your plane's strengths and weaknesses, because unless you're going up against an let's say this example, a perfectly aced P-36C, the plane that you're fighting is going to have different characteristics than yours, right? And the important thing is to understand what those differences are, alright? Which means having a basic idea of the planes you're going to be facing. It never hurts to go and look at those other tech trees and read off the statistics of other planes, right? So you always want to remember that you should fly to your plane's strengths. right? So, for instance, the P-36 has pretty good energy retention, alright? It's alright at turning. It has powerful guns, but I wouldn't trust it in a head-on against, let's say, a BF-110. And, is that right? Yeah, BF-110. Oh, wow. Just pulled a dumb here in my F3F. So, be conscious of how your plane performs. And here we are, we're back here with the P-36. P-36s, if I'm going to continue talking about them, there I am, see that maneuver there, pulling up really hard to try and stay behind him. That's the maneuver I was talking about. So the P-36, for example, it's got all, well, I'm not going to say good, it's got alright energy retention. It's pretty fast, it's pretty maneuverable, its weapons aren't the greatest. Three 7.62s aren't going to do what three 7.62s on a 50 cal aren't going to do what 450 cals are going to do. They're just not equivalent powers. So you wouldn't want to take this thing in a head-on versus a Wildcat, right? Now, tip number 10 is know how your plane performs and set the convergence likewise. I can't really show you in this replay, but when you're dealing with a plane like this, like the P-36, it's got its most powerful armament is its 50 cal, and that just so happens to be nose mounted. So what you would want to do is, for the P-36, I prefer a farther gun targeting distance, right? Because nose-mounted guns, their convergence doesn't matter as much. So, once again, tip number 10 is set your convergence based on how the plane functions. So in a plane like the P-38, right, that has all nose-mounted guns, I would set the convergence all the way up to like 800 meters so I can get those snipe shots, right? But with a plane like the P-40, setting your convergence a little bit lower, perhaps 500 meters, is oftentimes something that will help your performance, and it all depends on where you want to be behind your enemy, right? Because the convergence distance is where you're gonna keep your enemy, and you're usually pretty accurate within like 100 or 200 meters with wing-mounted guns. So, the guns here on the P-40 are actually fairly centered. So you could perhaps even push this up to 600 meters and still get pretty good performance out of it. But, I'm trying to think of an example here. Ah, yeah, there we go. A plane like the P-39 with the 7.7s mounted way out there under the wings, for that you'd want to bring in your convergence a little bit to have more effective firepower. And so it's something you need to consider. So in the the P39, I would have my convergence at about 400 meters, maybe 500. Alright? Now, here's an interesting plane. You might think, on first appearances, that the F2A1, you'd want to set the convergence to about 400 or 500 meters because of these wing-mounted guns. However, what you don't know is that those little holes on the those gun mounting spots on the F2A3 are completely empty. There's no gun there. Right? This plane simply has a 50 cal and a 7.7, or 7.62, I guess I should be saying. So, for this, you can set your convergence pretty high because you've got nose-mounted guns. All something to remember. So, now, we're pretty much just going to be watching the rest of this replay. We've got me in my, the Buffalo, the F2A1, pulling some pretty snazzy maneuvers, if I do say so myself, behind that IL-2 1942 edition, and taking the kill home. Lag 3, giving me a run for my money, taking me through a head-on. That's something you would never want to do, is head-on a Russian, because Russian planes are notorious for having a thing with nose-mounted guns, which in a head-on are, yeah, it's good to have nose-mounted guns if you're doing a head-on. And now I'm back here in my P36C, because I had a backup vehicle. And I think that I'm going to win the match in this vehicle, I think. Maybe not, who knows. I don't know if I pull out my F3, F2. I might. So, let's watch how I go into this engagement. I'm scanning this little cluster of enemies down here. And one in particular has caught my eye. It's that HE-51. So I'm getting a lot of altitude right now because there was some stuff going on fairly close to me and I didn't want to get involved. You gotta choose your battles. Now down here is HE-51. Oh, I missed him. So I come around for another pass, and he turns out in front of me. Oh, and I changed who I was looking at. Yep, he came out in front of me, which is, never do that. If you have someone on your tail, just as a word of advice, never pull a flat turn when they're right on your 6. Because no matter how you turn, right, if they're any reasonable distance behind you, if they're not right up on top of you, then doing a turn like that is just exposing more surface area. What you want to do when you have someone right up behind you like that is, if your plane has better energy retention and better acceleration, climb rate, stuff like that, if it's in general, faster and more powerful plane as far as the engine goes, like most American planes, what you want to do is pitch up to like 10 or 20 degrees and pull some fidgety maneuvers, swinging back and forth, trying to avoid their fire. And it's actually quite effective if the person behind you is more than like 600 meters out, 0.6 kilometers. If you hold down the C key, it frees up your camera. And so you can look behind you and actually avoid the tracer coming in, which is, and I find it especially effective, and I don't know why this is, on hurricanes. That hurricane that has the 12 7.7s, that can be evaded really easily if you know what you're doing. And it drives hurricane pilots nuts. And I think it's because the hurricanes have really low muzzle velocities. But that's just my theory. So here I am popping flaps, pulling some cool kid maneuvers. Yep, I've won the game in this. I've got 12 kills. It's reasonable. Now I'm going through here in this valley, and then I hit an invisible object, of course. And that's pretty much a wrap. Just speed up time while they lose, because I and my teammates managed to obliterate their team. Me and Big John too. And now I can I talk about the convergence? I don't even know. I don't think I can here. Anyway, so that's been how to get good at War Thunder. 10 tips for becoming a true star player at War Thunder. Thank you for watching.